Hey guys, Cam for 15 back with another episode review of Heavily Delusions, and pretty intense episode this week, man. When we run into that Juchi guy again, and we actually find out that not exactly all of his story that he told here, Kiriko and Maru was actually all false. Like, we actually find out, the breeding pig stuff was actually a damn true story, which, when I talked about it in last week's episode, I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know if this is, like, real or fake, and then you find out, like, oh, he was just lying so he could hide the truth about the logo, obviously the gun Kiriko was holding in her hand, and obviously, we find out that that it's pretty much true. And this episode was pretty much like kind of intense, especially with the man eater and things like that. And also some cases it was kind of heartfelt. And then again, obviously the episode ends. I wouldn't say the episode ends off. Well, the episode does end off in like a weird, ominous, like what the hell note. And then two, obviously the only scene we get from the facility, because obviously with the facility, what's going on there is obviously we know that Tokyo is pregnant. I'm more than likely predicting that that is actually Maru, because again, Maru and Tokyo, for some odd reason, well, I wouldn't say some odd reason, but they look very similar to one another. And it's funny because it's like a few weeks ago when I first started my reviews of this show, I said, I wonder if this character is like Maru from the past. But then when I found out, oh wait, that's not a dude, that's actually a girl. And if you're wondering, like, how did you not know that was a girl? Hey, Tokyo to me sounds like a boy's name, to be honest. And honestly, with the fact that obviously you couldn't really tell, that's kind of thing. Now, if you could tell that was a girl, one, A, you must have been a manga reader of the series, or if you're an anime only person like me, then okay, you must have told me, you should have told me earlier. But yeah, but again, it's like, I think that's more than likely Maru's mom right there. Now, we do get a scene with her. We don't see, I guess, how over bloated her belly is. I guess they don't want to show that. Maybe for censorship reasons, I don't know. Because it is kind of, I guess you can say it's kind of weird if you were to see, like, obviously, a teenager pretty much pregnant, but it's not like to say that that doesn't happen in real life. Like, there are teens that actually do get knocked up, I guess you can say, and get pregnant. So I don't want to dive too much into that whole thing, because that's like, so that's like another topic for another day. Yeah, the only thing we get out of that scene was that we see Tokyo pretty much making this voice recording to Kono, or Kona, which I think is the dude that she ended up sleeping with, which pretty much is Maru's dad. The guy who was doing the arts and stuff in the notebook. I mean, pretty much saying, like, they say, like, she pretty much says, like, they said, like, in a few, like, days or weeks, they're gonna get whatever's out of my body, pretty much, and that's kind of it. But I really miss you, and I hope we can talk again and things like that. So that's kind of the thing on that front, right then and there. So yeah, and then apparently, you have the pretty much the group we've been following in this facility come across these other kids, and they just admit these other kids. I think they call them like the fifth years or something like that. I don't know, and I don't know about these kids. These kids gave me some weird ominous vibes, because the way these kids looked, they didn't look good. They looked like they were kind of pissy and things like that. Especially when they showed the first group of kids. I'm like, I don't know if like this is gonna be some sort of territorial thing, and everything, but I don't know about these new kids that just got admitted. And second of all, where did these new kids come from? Like, what the hell? That's another question that we need to ask too. Where the hell did these kids come from? Did it come from those faceless? Was those faceless babies now these kids? Because we know that these kids have like supernatural abilities, pretty much. Like are they from? Are those kids like those babies we saw in like episode 5? All grown, I guess, grown up now. I don't know, but those kids looked a little sus for my taste personally, and I don't trust them. I feel like some things are gonna go crazy and go haywire, and the current batch of kids are gonna have problems with these new batch of kids coming in. And I could definitely see where it's like maybe some sort of territorial dominance thing, like, oh no, this is my school, I run the place here. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens next week with that situation. But that's pretty much what we get from the facility stuff. Again, more interesting. Can't wait to see where that stuff goes, because I feel like that's only going to get even more crazier. But I guess since I think that stuff takes place in the past, what happens in the current present? Pretty much like I said, Kiriko and Maru, they actually run into Junshi again. And pretty much Junshi, we find out, is telling the truth about the breeding pig story. You know, on his shoulder he has the number 11, but it isn't just like a marker tattoo, it's an actual like legit tattoo. So he actually was telling the truth about the breeding pig storyline. Everything else was pretty much a bold-faced lie. But pretty much the guy just kind of wants to go back to the city where that stuff was being held, so to see if like there's anybody alive. And yes, even the people that were doing the horrible things to him, horrible things to him and the other men, stuff like that. Also, too, the one thing that's the reason why he wants to do that is because he wants to see his son, and he hopes that his son is potentially still alive. So pretty much, you know, that's kind of the thing. You get some comedic moments right then and there. They have to dress up as girls, or Maru had to dress up as a girl, because obviously if there's people there and these women are as crazy as this guy was saying in his story, well then they would have just made Maru a breeding pig pretty much. And it was absolutely funny when, for some odd reason, Juchi was feeling up on Kiriko, and obviously Maru was like, "Get the hell away from my girl," pretty much. And then Kiriko was like, "Wait a second, who the hell are you calling your girl or your woman? I ain't nobody's woman." Which, that was absolutely funny, because he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it by that." So that got a laugh out of me right then and there. But the reason why is like, he's like, "Oh yeah, they don't like women with like big, pretty much breasts," and I'm just like, oh my gosh. He goes into the whole story like, oh yeah, there was this one woman with like a big chest, and they like, I guess, cut her chest off or something like that. I'm like, god damn, what are these people doing up in here? These people brutal. Oh my god. So the funny thing is they also dress Maru up as a girl, but that's when they go into the area, that's when they actually run into the man-eater, and this man-eater, I guess in the area, can start freezing people up, and everything was like a Hiriko, and luckily enough, in the nick of time, you know, Maru somehow saw where the man-eater was at. Kiriko shoots it and breaks off the thing, but then we eventually find out its weakness. Kiriko eventually finds out its weakness. And then it needs pretty much this ice ability. If you're like stuck in like a condensed like room area, then you'll probably more than likely get killed. But you know, obviously, if you're in an open space area, it gives you a higher chance to kill it and defeat it. It was actually a pretty interesting man-eater power, because obviously we can see how it immobilizes you, and it's pretty much freezing you to death. To the point where you can't move, and obviously if you're cold enough, you're gonna more than likely pass out because of the cold, because your body's just gonna shut down on itself, so it can like try to stay warm at least. And that was like probably one of them, I think, few moments in this series so far where I'm like, oh wait, are they gonna actually get out of this situation alive? And it literally got close to the part where we saw a few weeks ago, where obviously it looked like Maru was going to be down for the count, and then the whole dream sequence and everything, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. So they keep giving these dang death flags to where Kiriko and Maru are getting ever so close against these man-eaters dying, but I thought this man-eater was definitely like a pretty good one in terms of like fear factor, like danger factor. I probably would rank it like level 10, because for something freeze you to death pretty much, or freeze you to the point you fall, you pass out, and then it probably feeds on you, obviously, that when you're frozen and everything, that's kind of thing. But they managed to like take at least I guess a chunk of it out, but not the main body. So they go back to Junshi, but then they end up running into other people who were breeding pigs, and they're like, "Hey, you're number 11, right?" And obviously he takes him like to the they take him to like this reserve area where pretty much the males all survived, and he sees his son. Obviously Junshi is happy. His son is alive and well. We kind of get backstory on how they escaped, and pretty much that man eater we saw Kiriko and Maru go up against. Well, pretty much there was a wide open hole when it was all freezing. I mean, obviously the thing is when they were up, it helped them too, because if you were asleep and things like that, you're probably not gonna do anything. You're not gonna feel anything. But no, I mean, oh man, even though I'm pretty much I'm a heavy sleeper, I can still feel if I'm like cold or something. So that's kind of thing. But they managed to get out of there, and yeah, so things kind of chillax. Everybody's having a good time. They're happy, things like that. Obviously, you get an emotional reunion scene between Junshi and his son. His son kind of is looking at him like, "Oh, what the heck?" And then you get like this scene where you think the man eater's coming back, and Kiriko's running, especially with Junshi's kid. But obviously, Kiriko's like, "I'm so freaking cold. I don't know what's happening to me." But eventually, Maru comes in, grabs the kid, and drops him off somewhere far away, and pretty much, Kiriko's like, "We gotta save the kid," but obviously Maru's like, "No, the Hiriko is the kid." And I'm like, "Wait, the kid was the freaking man eater this entire time?" Or something like that. I don't know. It's kind of confusing. So explain that in the comment section to make me better understand that. But this like ice cocoon forms, and then boom, he just starts crying. When I thought like, oh, this is when the man eater's gonna show up, they're gonna have to kill the kid. But no, kid I guess is just normal, and he just starts crying and things like that. So I wonder if he has like man eater powers or something like that, where maybe like every now and then he has those ice powers and you have to stay away from him and then let him do what he needs to do, and then I guess he'll be a normal human again. I don't know. It's kind of confusing, but that's kind of thing. Anyways, Kiriko and Maru say their goodbyes. It was funny when they were taking the car. They could take the car, but then the car just automatically starts because I think that either the engine just I guess breaks down, or freaking maybe they just went out of gas or something like that. And they're just like, and obviously Maru did the whole "see you, bye bye," and then obviously they're like pretty much stopped like a few feet away from where obviously this safe little peace reserve for these dudes were at, and they're just screaming at each other like, "Hey, fix the damn thing," and things like that, because obviously they're not looking good. And then you kind of get the post-credit scene where we see Junshi kill the one guy, and I guess we find out that one guy pretty much is the rat that spoiled everything, and pretty much he just takes his son and he leaves off too. So yeah, I guess that's it for the storyline of Junshi, unless we see him again. I mean, that's kind of it was actually pretty dark because this dude got like a chainsaw and freaking slit this guy's throat. And I'm like, Jesus. So yeah, but another solid episode of Heavenly Delusions. This show continues to amaze me with where they go, and I'm just wondering, how far the show is willing to go, because this show is not afraid to go past any boundaries. But yeah, but pretty much that's kind of it. And yeah, so if you guys like the video, leave a like, put in the comment section your thoughts on this week's episode of Heavenly Delusions, as well as hit that subscribe button when we get more Heavenly Delusions content. Till then, guys, stay safe, have fun out there, and yeah, till then, guys, peace.